So I'm doing that thing where if you film with like any sort of doorway slightly in the background, there's immediately going to be a ghost. So if you guys see any ghosts, just let me know, okay? So when I started to play Magic, I was handed a deck, I was taught the basics of said deck, and then I sort of just had to run with it. It was a good way for me personally to learn it, but that's definitely not the easiest way for everybody to learn it. So there's always a lot of open houses that happen at game stores, which are really beginner friendly, really good for helping people out, and entirely free. One thing that I always worry about with Magic cards especially is that things can get pretty expensive pretty quickly, and especially for younger kids or students, that's not really something that's absolutely doable. And it sucks, but that's sort of the way it's gotta be. Now with these. So these are the beginner decks. They are given away for free for people who come into either the open houses or will mention to the staff that they're new players. And these are meant to be given away. They are entirely free. They include 2 30-card decks. It'll be something for people to understand the fundamentals of the game. Do I think these are amazing? Yes. An astounding yes. I feel like it's just such a good way to sort of introduce the game to people and to sort of make it a little bit less daunting for people to start. So I picked one up from my store that I work at. That being said, I don't think that it's right for me, who I do have a pretty large collection of cards already, to keep this. So I am passing it along to a friend of mine who has said that she has had a little bit of an interest in Magic. The kid upstairs is playing basketball again, so if you hear stuff, that's why. So what is included in these little boxes? The boxes for this particular set will feature a prominent character in the M19 story. I, obviously, being me, chose the Liliana one. Are we surprised? Not at all. So it'll include one deck that is of the color of your choosing from the box, and then another deck that's sort of random. I'm not 100% sure how randomized these decks are. They might just be a whole bunch of like commons, a couple uncommons, and one rare, or they might be like pre-made deck lists. Editing, Jordynne, what's the answer? The decks that I got a black deck and a blue deck. So like I said, it includes 2 30-card decks. So a black deck includes 13 swamps, 1 rare, 4 uncommons, and then a whole bunch of commons. It's really low investment for sort of the reward that you get, and honestly, I think it's pretty good. I would definitely say, with the fact that you would be choosing by the color that you like, you're gonna get what you want and then some. Obviously, with the aspect of your second deck being random, it's a little bit different. You're not going to necessarily pull something that you're like super excited about, but it makes it so that it's something that you can learn and play off of and have someone to play with. And so with the blue deck, I assume because it's not the deck that you're choosing, you're not really going to be pulling as many uncommons. There's only 2 uncommons and 1 rare in this deck. Again, this might just be that it's because the cards are completely random, or it might be a design choice. I'm not 100% sure, to be honest. Me from the future, do I know anything? I think one of the most important things that they include in the deck, even more important than the actual physical cards that they included in the deck, are these. They have a card that explains the phases on your turn as to what to do, which, especially as a beginning player, this is something that you are going to forget a lot, and that's completely understandable. It's a lot to go through. I'm sure a lot of more advanced players will sort of look at these and sort of be like, oh, well, these cards they're jank, they're not really that important. But we all need to remember that we are all a beginner at some point. When someone first starts out, they're not going to know that you can play an instant on someone else's turn. They're going to need to learn the strategy. They're going to need to learn about the rules. So that's why it's really important that if you're not a beginner, go to these open houses. They're really, really useful because you can take your knowledge and pass it on to someone else. You didn't start off absolutely knowing every single rule unless you're like Richard Garfield. And that's because you wrote the rules yourself. You get a promo card if you go and you help somebody. It's this weekend. Find a game store that you like. Help out a kid. Help out someone that's looking a little bit confused. Maybe help out somebody who can't really afford cards that much. It's a really good way to sort of build a solid community in your game store. I know this video sort of isn't as like haha funny as like I usually sort of do, but it is something that is really close to my heart. I am a strong believer that this, especially for kids, is such a really good developmental role. It'll help them learn math. It'll help them learn like strategic and lateral thinking. Like it's really solid, and I really think that ultimately more Magic players isn't going to be the worst thing in them. Everybody starts somewhere, and I feel like people sometimes need to refresh themselves on the fact that that's the case. Not every person has been playing since like 1996. I sure haven't. I was a year old. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't even read yet. I still can't read. Help someone who's just starting out turn this from a 30 card deck to a 40 card deck. It will mean all the difference to them, and who knows? You might have just helped a future top 8er in like 10 years. And then they'll owe you and they'll have to buy you an Alpha Black Lotus. Bye!